Welcome everybody, this is Mr. Laggy, and we're going to be taking a deep dive into the Baldur's Gate 3 Early Access Warlock. Now if you like what you see here and you have not lost up to 5 fingers, please consider subscribing, leaving a like, following me on Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. That's all below. I really want to know what you guys think about the Warlock and other classes, honestly. Leave those comments below, as we're going to be kind of diving into each one of them and breaking them all down for everybody. So right away, what I do when I want to pick a class is I go change the class. And then I forget to change my name. But right now we're going to pick the class. This is a dummy character, right? And we'll see that we get an option of the Fiend and the Great Old One. Now, first thing we need to know about the Warlock is they're a heavy spellcasting class. Now, you only get 2 spells, and why am I saying they're heavy spellcasting? Because of this baby right here, Eldritch Blast. So, we're going to take a look at our abilities and see that Charisma is a star, right? We're going to want this to be 16 plus, because at the even numbers, you gain an increase in your modifier here. So how do we do that? Because you can only put, even if I take all the points out of here, I can still only get to 15. So we need to change our race. Good races to pick, I would say Human gives you a +1 to everything. Half-Elf will give you a +2 to Charisma and a 1 to 2 others. That's really good. Tiefling will give you a +2 to Charisma, 1 to Intelligence or Strength. We've got Drow gives you a 2 to Dex, 1 to Charisma, so you could get yourself into a good level with Dex and Charisma. So all those are really good options, and then change your appearance and all that. But we're here to talk about the subclasses and how really they're different from one another. So the first thing you'll notice is we get to pick 2 cantrips from a pool of 8. So we've got Blade Ward, Chill Touch, Eldritch Blast, which is your guaranteed pick, Friends, Mage Hand, Minor Illusion, Poison Spray, and True Strike. I would not pick another damaging spell, as you're more than likely going to be enhancing your Eldritch Blast, and we'll find out why soon. If you want this character to be, since they're high charisma, your conversationalist, I would say Friends is a really good option. So then we get down to our spells. Now our spell casting is pretty limited with a Warlock in one sense, but open in another. So we only get 1 spell slot to be able to be used at level 1. When we get to level 2, we'll have 2. So you can only cast 2 spells per day, Laggy? No. You can cast 2 spells per short rest. So when you take a short rest, they'll refresh, where everyone else's spells don't refresh. So in a sense, at level 2, you can get a minimum of 4 in per day. That's pretty great. So our options here are Armor of Agathis, Arms of Hadar, Burning Hands, Charm Person, Command Halt, Expeditious Retreat, Hellish Rebuke, Hex, Protection from Evil and Good, and Witch Bolt. Now I would say Hex is pretty darn good, as when you would hex somebody and you hit them with an attack, they'll take an additional 1d6 damage, but also the creature has disadvantage on ability checks from one ability of your choosing. So say we need to cast a spell on them, Arms of Hadar, and they need to make a strength check, which it indicates there. We could hex them first as a bonus action, give them disadvantage on strength checks, and then cast this on that creature. And if the creature dies, we can get to change the location of the hex for free. So it's a great spell. Now I'm not going to really pick much here because this is a dummy character. Now our class features indicate the Warlock spells slots, Wisdom and Charisma saving throw proficiencies. We can wear light armor, so we can go around in leather armor and still cast spells. And simple weapons. You're not really going to be using weapons too much, as your Eldritch Blast is going to be your main source of damage. And then the last feature here, which is going to define what this subclass of the Fiend is all about. The Dark One's Blessing. when you reduce a hostile creature to 0 hit points. This gift from your patron grants you charisma modifier plus level in hit points. Now, I've heard people say that this is bugged because the player's handbook indicates that this gives you temporary hit points. Now, this tooltip is telling us hit points. It's not telling us temporary hit points and then not providing us those temporary hit points. I think that this is by design, and we'll find out why as we get to level 2. But let's take a look first at the Great Old One. So we'll notice right away as we scroll down that there is no subclass feature. What that feature really is are these 2 spells that are not able to be chosen from by the Fiend. We've got Dissonant Whispers, which is a 3d6 psychic attack where they must make a wisdom saving throw or become frightened, and Tasha's Hideous Laughter, which can leave them prone and incapacitated. So I would say if you don't pick Hex for either one of these on first level, let's take it for second level. That way, whenever you're going to be using this wisdom saving throw on people, they're going to have disadvantage. So that's pretty awesome. So that is going to truly be the main difference between these 2 subclasses throughout the full leveling process. So essentially, to finish up our character creation guide, you're going to kind of want to dump everything into charisma. You're going to want your constitution and dex to be higher as well, maybe a little bit into intelligence, because you're also going to be having these conversations in which some of these skills are going to be intelligence based. So your origin is also going to define some proficiencies. So I would take a lot of conversationalist type proficiencies, and you'll find in level 2 in just a moment 2 of them that you could get for free if you chose. So let's hop over there. So here we are with Will, our NPC companion. So we're getting up to level 2. We're going to be granted a few more hit points and an extra spell slot, but our main feature is going to come from this Eldritch invocations. You can pick 2 from this list. I'm going to read through these so that you can figure out, prior to making your character, what direction you want to go in. So this is the direction I went, which was Agonizing Blast. When you cast Eldritch Blast, add your charisma modifier to the damage it deals, unless it is negative. So if you've got that +3, which he does, as he has a 16 charisma, you're going to be doing an extra 3 damage. So the 1d10 is actually going to be a minimum of 4 damage and a maximum of 13 now. We've got Armor of Shadows. You can cast Mage Armor on yourself at will without expending a slot. So whenever you need, you can cast a Mage Armor, get an extra DC on you. That's pretty awesome. Beast Speech. You can cast Speak with Animals at will without expending a spell slot. So Beguiling Influence. You invoke your patron's bewitching charm. You gain proficiency in the deception and persuasion skills. So this is what I was talking about before. So if you are creating your character and you have the option of picking deception or persuasion from an origin, you won't need to if you want to pick this. And we got Devil's Sight. You can see normally in darkness, not just the night sight, both magical and non-magical, to a distance of 18 meters. So if you've got the magical darkness on you, it's an actual spell you can take. You can shroud yourself in darkness, but take none of the effects from it. Pretty cool. Like, this is something you could actually, like, steer your character around. Fiendish Vigor. You can cast False Life on yourself at will as a first level spell without expending a spell slot. So here we go, guys. This is what I was talking about with the Fiend's ability, that when you take a creature down to 0 hit points, you gain health. Player's Handbook says it is temporary hit points. The game indicates that it is simply hit points. But here we go. If you need temporary hit points, you could be casting False Life on yourself at will as a first level spell without expending it. So if it goes away, you can recast it on yourself. It's at will. It's not spending a charge. So you always have +5 temp hit points. Pretty cool. Mask of Many Faces. You can cast Disguise Self at will without expending a spell slot. Now this could be interesting. On top of having, say, Beguiling Influence and all your conversational skills, now you can Disguise Self and go around and, I haven't used it yet, but I'm assuming mess with people. I'd like to try this out. I really would. Then we got Repelling Blast. This goes along well with Agonizing Blast, the 2 blasts. When you hit a creature with Eldritch Blast, you can push the creature up to 4.5 meters away from you. So, as a Warlock, you're going to want to have high ground, right? You can take Misty Step at level 3, and when you get up there to whatever high ground and someone climbs up to get you, you can blast them off the ledge. And finally, we have Thief of 5 Fates. Once per long rest, you can cast Bane using a Warlock spell slot. I don't really recall what Bane does. I think it's a disadvantage. Let's find out for us, though. I'm going to pick these 2, so we can test out what they look like. Now, the last option here is you can pick another spell. If you haven't picked Hex yet, pick Hex. It's just too good. Let's accept this and find out what our abilities now do for us. So now, yes, we can cast False Life. And if we ran out, we can still cast False Life. So we permanently have 5 temporary hit points. That's pretty awesome. Now, once we get to level 10, when the game comes out, 5 isn't going to be that much. And it says that Eldritch Incantation indicates that it is always cast at first level. So, nah. But then we've got Bane. Creature, target up to 3 creatures. They receive a D4 penalty to attack rolls and saving throws. Okay, this is pretty awesome. It does require concentration, so if you get hit, it seems like currently there's not even a check to save concentration. It just drops your concentration. That, I think, is a bug. This you can recharge on a long rest, not your normal short rest. But you will see here, we now have 2 spell slots. Pretty great. So let's level up to 3. Now, just to reiterate, folks, these 2 levels, well, actually, I should say the 3 levels, 2, 3, and 4 are all going to be the same regardless of your subclass. So that's why I'm just displaying one of these and not both of them. So I need to interject here. I was incorrect in what I was saying, that there was no real difference between the 2 subclasses on level 2, 3, and 4. At level 3, the Great Old One will give you, for free, Burning Hands at 2nd level. And you can only cast this once per day, once per long rest, I should say. So this is a free spell to use once every day. I figured I should interject this into the video so that you have 100% of the information. But you'll also, as I said, you'll also get the improved spell slot and the Pact of the Chain, which is your imp or quasit pet. In our class features, we now can choose a 2nd level spell, and our spell level for our slot in which we cast spells is now going to be at level 2. So here we'll see we've got Shatter, Scorching Ray, Ray of Enfeeblement, Misty Step, Mirror Image, Invisibility, Hold Person, there's the Darkness, and Blindness. So we can take a level 2 spell. I'm going to just select Misty Step, and we get extra hit points, and we can level up. So there's another addition I did not read because I wanted to show it to you. We gain the Find Familiar spell, but we don't just get the 6 that everybody else gets. We can also summon a Quasit or an Imp. So let's take a look at these boys. There's an Imp. Pretty cool. And once again, this is at will. So when they die, you can just recast it. And there's the closet. Pretty cool. And it's like, oh, you want to get up here? Oh, you don't. You don't, even though it said it. All right, and then, okay, guys, level 4, I'm just going to tell you. Level 4 is simply an additional 2 ability score points. So you're going to dump that into Charisma so that if you have the Eldritch Blast ability, you're going to be doing a +4 damage instead of a +3. But overall, that is what you're supposed to expect with a Warlock in early access so far. That's pretty awesome. They are very, very strong and great utility to have with your party. But I want to know how you feel. Tell me in the comments. So essentially what you have to do, what I'm forcing you to do, is hitting the subscribe button so you can also give me a thumbs up, right? Give me that like. I don't know. You can do what you want, guys. But talk to me in the comments. I love having conversations. I sit on my phone just having conversations with people. So send me some comments and we'll discuss what you're doing in the game as opposed to what I'm doing. Do you have a different build? But all that aside, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm really hopeful that this is helpful. Bye-bye.